Hello and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat. Today we're going to be talking about Ella Toone and why we believe she has perhaps struggled in this WSL campaign so far. So I think to start this, it's probably worth talking about why Ella Toone is so good. What makes her so good and establishing a basis for an argument. Why is Ella Toone so good, Harry?
I think the chance creation, first of all, is incredible, and we saw it across last year and the Euros 2 years ago, and we've seen it across the last few years. How good she is at getting the ball in the right area for that. Especially England, for example, that front three, and even so from herself, very good finisher.
Yeah, to back you up with those statistics, then 8 assists last season, 50 chances created, which is quite a phenomenal number when you consider that they don't. Well, I don't think she even played every single match. Because there's only 22 matches in a WSL season, that is very, very encouraging. Only 3 goals, and I think that started to demonstrate a bit of a downturn last campaign, was the fact that the goals dried up. I actually wasn't that impressed with her performance in the World Cup last year, I have to say. I feel like, this year even, she wasn't really on her game, and the numbers do back that up. She wasn't really involved all that much, only 1 goal at the tournament, only took 4 shots. She wasn't all that impressive. And we're going to talk about more why she really struggled. But we know she's a brilliant passer, fantastic pass accuracy. She's a good dribbler, and that's another thing that's taken a dive this year. She's used to be really good at picking up the ball and turning and running at players and finding so much space, creating so much space as a consequence. Now, though, that seems to be something that just isn't prominent in her game anymore, and that's a big problem. And we'll look at the factors for that. But if we look at her performance then this season, perhaps try and understand where it's all going wrong. She's only got 1 goal in the WSL this season, only 1 assist in 7 matches, 6 of which are starts, 540 minutes played. It's just not been good enough. She's created just 11 chances this season, which is still high. So perhaps you can argue about the players around her. So obviously Alessia Russo's left. That's a big miss. Those two had a great connection.
Yeah.
Could you argue that she's still creating chances, she's just not able to, they're not getting finished?
Yeah, if you look back to the Euros 2 years ago on home soil, those two are brilliant. Every time they came off the bench, the opposition knew they were in trouble. Yeah. Ian Wright made a song, and everyone fell in love with what was an incredible duo, not only off the pitch, but on the pitch, was clinical, lethal, caused everyone problems. When you take apart a duo like that, it does have an effect on one, if not both of them.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. You look, chance created 11, that's one of the highest in the WSL still, yet assists are down at 1 this season, which obviously isn't too strong. You look at some of her other numbers, still the highest player for successful passes in the whole of the WSL. It screams a lot about her talent. As I say, up there for chance creation, up there for accuracy in terms of her long passes, but long ball accuracy and pass accuracy both down by quite a bit, and only a 70% pass accuracy this season. Is it just that United aren't clicking at the moment? Because, Russo's gone. That's a big miss up front. A lot of change elsewhere on the field as well. A lot of indecision from Skinner this season. So where does the buck lie? Is it the fact that Russo's gone? Is it the change? Is it United's getting worse and changing?
Yeah, it feels like Man United, just as a whole, both the men and women's teams are just struggling at the moment. I think, as you say, United, Russo left. Other areas of the pitch changed, and it feels like 1 minute Skinner is getting angry at other people and tearing his hair up. The next minute he's blaming his own team. They've changed.
But they weren't good enough in the derby.
No,
we watched the game on Sunday. There just wasn't anything to suggest that United were a cohesive team. There was no idea what they were going to do with the ball.
Yeah, very lucky to take the lead in that game.
Very unlucky not to get a second. But
it was really poor, and I think the self-reflection from Marc Skinner after that game was pretty honest and made sense.
Was it self-reflection?
In terms of the team. That's on the team.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I would argue he needs to be taking a bit more responsibility there. A lot of it was we weren't good enough, and I maybe with using that collective, we weren't good enough, but still, he's very much put it on the team. There wasn't anything out there on the field. They didn't play with enough.
They didn't
give anything against Manchester City.
Players to be designed. You can't force players to play with desire.
No, but it feels like there is a tactical misdirection at the moment. I don't know what they're doing when they get on the ball, and that's evidenced as well by looking at Ella Toone's possession numbers this season. And as I say, ranks really well for passing, touches as well, up there as one of the best in the WSL. But her successful dribbles are down at 2, which is one of the lowest in the league. Dribble success rate at 18.2%, also very, very low. Only 17 touches in the opposition box, and has been dispossessed quite a lot at 8, and been fouled, and not won many fouls. So it all paints the picture that she's not able to get on the ball as much and drive into space. Now, again, is that because there's no Ella Russo, and what Russo was so good at was her movement to be able to not only create an opportunity for herself, but also create space for Toone to work in? Or is it a tactical direction from Skinner? Is Ella Toone being given less license to roam? Or is she just not doing it herself?
Yeah, it feels like, it's a common thing at Manchester United at the moment to not really know how to get the ball away from their own goal.
Yeah.
And
Skinner and Ten Hag need to stop talking.
Yeah, I'll say, just don't let them interact. But I feel like it does say a lot that Russo's obviously gone on to Arsenal. She took her time to adapt, but she's
still
getting
is.
there.
Russo hasn't looked...
But the difference is she scored goals.
Yeah.
She has scored goals. United, I couldn't even tell you, but 1 minute it's Jose Ferreira. Nikita Parras came off the bench in one game, and then, and then you got Rachel Williams. They scored 5 goals at West Ham.
I have no idea.
I think it is a bit hard to say, but again, 2 of them account for, most of their goals came from people off the bench.
Yeah.
They then started on, Paris then started on in the derby and was really poor. Rachel Williams came off the bench and showed nothing. Jose Ferreira showed nothing in the actual game. The best player was Mallard.
Talking about that game, it was quite interesting to see that it looked like Nikita Parras played through the middle. And Heisei out on the right-hand side, which is quite an interesting decision. Perhaps Skinner was looking for that interchangeability between Parras and Toone to try and get Toone more involved in the game. But Zelen was the midfielder that pushed up the most. It felt like Toone was playing DM at times, which I can't imagine is the way around. But Zelen was getting involved in the game higher up the field than Toone was.
Yeah, I haven't watched Man United for years. But if I've known one thing over the last 2 years, if you have someone like Ella Toone, she's the person you adapt for.
She's definitely a player to build around, potentially, yeah.
On her day, Ella Toone is an incredible footballer.
But is it that Marc Skinner's trying to work around Heisei now, rather than Ella Toone or Alessia Russo?
Well, that's the thing. What they managed to do was they managed to accommodate around Toone and Russo because they played so well together.
The two of them were in such good sync.
So it might just be that Toone and Heisei need to link. But as you say, Heisei was on the right on the Sunday.
And I thought that was a really odd choice from Marc Skinner. Obviously, Heisei had that goal, which is disallowed, but...
I think similar to the men's team,
still.
The buck lies with a lot of people at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think you can say it's just Skinner's tactics. I also think a lot of Toone's underperformance has come as a consequence of Alessia Russo leaving the club. But I do think it's not just to blame for that. There has got to be some reflection from Skinner as to why it's not working. But the other reason I don't think you can have much of a go at Marc Skinner is that it's not worked for England either. If you look at Ella Toone's numbers at the World Cup, she wasn't a massive player in it. She didn't. I know she didn't play loads of minutes at the World Cup.
It was a really weird World Cup.
It wasn't. Yeah, so she played a lot more minutes than I expected. 441. She started 5 of the 6 matches, only notched up 1 goal and didn't get an assist. I mean, you can argue with United, players aren't finishing chances, but we got to the final of the World Cup and she still had very little impact. 6.76 average FootMob rating, ranked really low percentiles for stuff like assists. Chance creation was still decent. Yeah. Which is an interesting stat as well. But again, successful dribble was really low. Dribble success rate really low. Touches in the opposition box really low. Dispossessed heavily. It's all very worrying for Ella Toone right now. That she's not having the impact on the game that she was before.
I think the thing with England is I do take a little bit weight off her because England were really poor. I'm going to be honest, I don't know how we got to the final of the World Cup. I don't know how. No, we were not great. We did not play very well.
I think that's incredibly harsh.
I don't think it is.
I think you've completely.
I think we got a nice draw in Nigeria, Colombia, and Australia.
Australia was still a tough one, but sure.
No, you look at the team. I think we got a bit lucky. We weren't great. We really weren't. Australia was a slim 2-1 win. We didn't do it. Colombia, we had to go to extra time. We really struggled.
Other way round. Nigeria won on penalties. Colombia, we won 2-1.
I thought we went to Colombia extra time. But yeah, Colombia really struggled. And Nigeria had to go away penalties for.
It was in extra time. No, it wasn't.
Alright. But we shouldn't have gone to penalties against Nigeria. We should have beaten Colombia more comfortable than that. We should have beaten Australia more comfortable than that. And I think we weren't great. That's why I take a bit off our team, because the whole team didn't play well.
Yeah.
But equally, I think it does feel like Toone needs to get going soon. Because at that point, it is getting really worrying.
Yeah, I agree. She's not really had the impact on games that she needs, especially in the final. I mean, she put in a 5.9 rating in the loss to Spain. I don't think England were particularly good on that day at all, but she definitely stood out as struggling for me.
Yeah.
I don't think Russo had a good game either, to be fair, and perhaps that just those two not working together anymore has caused not only a problem for them on the international stage, but also for Toone and Russo to a certain extent in their domestic.
The problem is those two did so well together in the. I don't know. It's a big thing, but those two did so in the Euros, coming on from the bench, bought into starting roles for this World Cup, and they really struggled. And I think even the international since then, the Nations League, it's been a bit hit and miss. We've beaten Belgium, but we've also lost to Belgium.
Well, we're at risk now of not going to the Olympics. If we don't beat Netherlands on Friday the 1st, we are... I mean, I think it's impossible from there. If we win that, we've still got to beat Scotland on the Tuesday after.
It feels like we hit such a high with the Euros. Since then, everything's gone downhill. And same for Ella Toone.
Yep, I agree. And I think there's still a really good player in Ella Toone.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the closing question, I mean, there's a few questions we'll probably talk about at the end, but the closing question on the board is, how do Skinner, Weigmann get the most from her? What do they need to change, either tactically or try and just motivate her personally? What would you be thinking they need to do?
I think for Skinner, it's a bigger task than Weigmann, because obviously I think Skinner...
Because, I guess for Weigmann, you can just rotate her out if she's not performing. Yeah. There's always options. I mean, Frank Kirby back now from injury, and I think she may well start the Euro 25.
Depending on who the player is, I think one of the best ways to motivate someone is to drop them.
Yeah.
Because then, if they have the right mentality, they should work ridiculously hard to get back in there. For Skinner, I think this United team look a little bit, lack a bit of direction. You've got Ella Toone in your midfield. You've got to base it around her.
Yeah, is it a simple question of Skinner just having to... Because obviously there's been a lot of change at Manchester United this summer. They lost their best player in Alessia Russo. I think you could make that argument. You then look at the squad and they lost Ona Badilla as well, a key member of the side. They're two big losses. And then you've got a load of new players coming in. We've named Jose Ferreira a few times now. She's only just joined the club. I believe it's Melvin Mallard's first season. It is indeed Melvin Mallard's first season. They've also just signed Hinata Miyazawa as well. That's a lot of new players to have to come in and immediately gel with the side and fit into the tactics. So there's a lot for Skinner to do there. Amongst other changes in the side and the way the team's adapted, it's very different to how the team looked a year ago. I mean, even Nalsund only joined in January of this year, so only had another half a season with the side. It's a very new team, so there's going to be an adaptation period there, and they've still not done badly. I mean, we're talking about this in such a negative light, but United find themselves fourth in the WSL this season. They would have been ahead of City. Well, they were ahead of City before this match week. Quite a poor match week by all accounts.
Yeah.
And they didn't perform well in the derby, you could say. I mean, quite obviously. But there's still this feeling that United haven't done well this season. I mean, we were looking at it the other day. That was their first loss of the season, which seems unbelievable because United haven't been all that impressive this season. Looking at some of their games, I mean, the crushing victories, 5-0 over Everton, 5-0 over West Ham. No idea how they've managed to pull those off. 2-2 with a Brighton side who've done quite well isn't much to be sniffed at. But when you consider that took a 78th minute goal from Ella Toone to level it up, Brighton then went ahead in the 89th, and then Reg Williams with a 98th minute equaliser.
Yeah.
It wasn't comfortable for United, even the draw there. Out of the Champions League, it's not been a very positive start to the season for Manchester United.
No.
They still find themselves fourth and in a decent position.
Yeah, I think there's two things. I do think, obviously, that thing it is under, like, Aston Villa, been horrific. But silly draws, as you say. Brighton have done well. They should be beating them.
I think they're quite fortunate that Tottenham and Liverpool haven't been that consistent. Tottenham probably would be top. Well, they would be top if they didn't draw with... Oh, sorry, they would be ahead of United if they hadn't drawn with Leicester last week.
And Liverpool obviously played Chelsea. Yeah. Again, if they hadn't had to play Chelsea, they'd still be ahead of them.
I think United haven't played Chelsea yet. That game comes in mid-January, I believe. 21st of January.
But also, on the squad selection as well, you mentioned new signings, mentioned all these new players, but you look at the leaders, and I look at the derby. Katie Zellum took the armband.
I don't think that's much.
Apparently, Zellum had the ball away to Shaw for the second goal, for Hemp's goal.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was a big error, but overall, Zellum had a really good game.
She was all right. And then,
definitely United's best player on the pitch, I would say.
Yeah, that was not hard.
No, but
and then Marietta.
I wouldn't be aiming the criticism mainly at.
Not mainly at her, but I'm looking at leaders to inspire, and you can't make errors like she did. And then Earp's the same. England's number one, strong leader, goalkeeper. All eyes on the pitch. Again, did had an okay game, and then for the third goal, blimey, what was she thinking?
What's the third goal again?
Well, she smashed into Shaw.
Oh yeah,
that's got that.
That's not her.
No, but
that's not on her.
That's
the poor back pass.
Inexperience.
No, I agree. She should have just smashed that out of play. But that a lot of the fault from that lies on the back pass. That was a terrible pass back to her.
Still could have been recovered. It was a horrific back pass. Well, United just need to shore. There's too many mistakes going on, and they keep getting lucky with. You look at the first game of the season this year. Villa would have won that game if Hansen hadn't got sent off, and then an injury time winner. Same with injury time equaliser at Brighton.
Yeah.
They keep getting lucky and they won't get away for long.
You look at it from, there was a statistic as we were watching the game on Sunday. I believe it's now 20 goals from substitutes since the start of last season. They've scored 15 goals in the last 15 minutes and additional time of games. They're quite shocking numbers. But it shows that United are able to keep motivated right until the end and keep fighting, which is a very good characteristic. But they shouldn't need to do that. They've got the quality in the squad now to be able to claim more comfortable victories than this.
It keeps showing how Marc Skinner keeps getting team selection wrong. How is it possible?
I know.
Start them. Start the people who come for bench and score.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're still fourth. They're still fourth. That's still decent.
Yeah, I definitely agree. If you look at as well the fact that they've already ticked off Arsenal and Manchester City now, and Aston Villa and Liverpool. I'm sorry, not Liverpool. Yeah. It's not too bad.
But this weekend, Liverpool this weekend is a huge game.
No, that's in the League Cup in the week. Oh. They play Bristol City this weekend.
Oh, that's not as big of a game.
Then after that, Tottenham and Liverpool are their only two games in the league before Christmas. Then after the Christmas break, they come back straight to Chelsea
and City,
and then City in the League Cup, and then Villa.
I hate the league.
Stop looking over if you can't read the pictures. But I think for Ella Toone, it's not been a good enough season so far. We've rambled, we've gone on a complete tangent here. But for Ella Toone, not been a great season so far. I still think that conversations about her struggling a little premature because she's still a very good player. But I don't think they're without reason because you can see there is an evident decline in her performance. Now she's only 23. 24, something like that. It's not the end of the world if she has a bad season. It's a bit very parallel to the Mason Mount situation. Fantastic breakthrough, looked really dependable for England and his club side, then had a really difficult campaign. Wasn't playing well for England, wasn't playing well for Chelsea, moved to Manchester United wearing the number 7. Weird, isn't it? Yeah. Really weird. But I know obviously there's, Ella Toone was already at United and stuff like that, but it's very distinct parallels. And actually, I think both players just need time to adapt. Because with Mount, obviously, Manchester United, he's just joined a new team. Going to need time to adapt there. With Ella Toone, it's the fact that she's not joined a new team, but the team is so different. The team around her is so different. I mean, look at the front 3 last weekend for Manchester United. 2 of them were new signings. And then Nikita Parrish has been there since the dawn of time. But no disrespect, Nikita, it's been a while. But and she's had a decent season. Yeah. But I definitely think that there is a conversation to be had about the performance of Ella Toone so far this campaign, but I still think she's a brilliant player, and I don't think her place in the England side is up for question just yet.
Agree.
But won't be long until there's got to be some serious and very difficult conversations had. But especially, England team came out today, Aggie Beever-Jones missing out. Very interesting call that, but I think that's everything for today. If you've got a personal take on it, please get involved in the comments down below and I'll make sure to reply to all of them. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to support us. We are live streaming tomorrow, the time this goes out. Tomorrow, Champions League game, Chelsea versus Paris FC. Join us, we'll be cheering on Chelsea. Should be a very, very good day. That's everything from us though. Thank you guys very, very much for watching and we'll see you next time.
See ya.